The Man I Can't Forget. My name is Amelia. I am 40 years old now. I live a very good life. I have a beautiful house in the city. I own an art gallery. It is successful. People like the art I choose. My life is full of peace. I have a husband. His name is David. David is kind. He is very stable. He is a good man. We have 2 children. Lily is 10. Tom is 7. They are happy children. They make noise in the house. This noise is a good noise. It is the sound of family. This story is simple and emotional. If you enjoy it, you can leave a like or a comment. I love my life. I love David very much. Our marriage is quiet. It is based on trust. It is based on shared routines. We drink coffee together every morning. We talk about our day. We plan holidays. This life is safe. It is predictable. I chose this life. I worked hard for this life. I feel content. Contentment is a soft, warm feeling. It is like a heavy blanket on a cold night. But sometimes, when the house is dark and everyone is asleep, I remember. I remember a different time. I remember a different feeling. This feeling was not soft. It was sharp. It was like fire. It was always intense. I remember Ethan. Ethan was the man I loved when I was 22. He was everything David is not. Ethan was chaos. He was passion. He was a storm in human form. He was an artist, a true artist. He did not care about money. He did not care about stability. He only cared about feeling. We met in New York City. We were young. We were foolish. We were inseparable for 2 years. Our time together was explosive. We laughed loudly. We fought loudly. We broke things sometimes. Our love was not a blanket. It was a live wire. It gave you a shock every time you touched it. I remember the way he looked at me. His eyes were dark and deep. They made me feel like I was the only thing in the whole world. He made me feel seen, truly seen. He drew pictures of me when I slept. He wrote me poems on napkins. He lived every moment fully. I love that intensity. It was addictive. But intensity burns out the air. It leaves ash. Ethan was never stable. He could not stay in one place. He could not commit to a job. He could not commit to a future. He could not commit to me. One morning I woke up. He was gone. He left a note. The note said only 3 words. I must go. That was 20 years ago. I cried for months. I was heartbroken. I was devastated. But time moved on. I picked up the pieces. I met David 5 years later. David was the medicine for the wounds Ethan left. David healed me slowly. He taught me that quiet love is strong love. I thought I had completely forgotten Ethan. I thought he was just a ghost, a story I tell about my wild youth. But sometimes, late at night, the memory returns. It is not a painful memory anymore. It is a sweet, sharp ache. It is the man I can't forget. I run my gallery, The Modern Frame. It is located downtown. I spend my days talking about composition and color. I talk about light and shadow. My life is organized. My calendar is neat. This is how I like it. 2 weeks ago, everything changed. It was a Tuesday. I was preparing for a new exhibition. The new paintings had just arrived. I was supervising the hanging process. The gallery door opened. The bell above the door jingled softly. I did not look up immediately. I was telling my assistant Mark where to place a large abstract canvas. "A little higher, Mark." "Yes, right there," I said. Then I heard a voice. It was a deep voice. It was a voice I had not heard for 2 decades, but my body recognized it instantly. My heart started beating very fast. It felt like a trapped bird trying to escape my chest. "Amelia?" the voice asked. I turned around slowly. He was standing there. Ethan. He was still handsome. He was 40 now, like me. There were lines around his eyes. They were lines of laughter, maybe lines of trouble. His hair was longer now, slightly gray at the temples. He wore a simple leather jacket. He looked exactly like the man who would walk into an art gallery and immediately look out of place, yet perfectly in place. He carried a small, worn backpack. I could not speak. My throat was dry. "Ethan," I managed to whisper. It felt like saying a secret word aloud. He smiled, that smile. It was the same smile that used to melt away all my anger 20 years ago. It was a little crooked. It was full of charm. "You look amazing, Amelia," he said. His voice was warm. "The gallery is beautiful. You did this." We talked for 10 minutes. It felt like 10 seconds. He told me he was back in the city for a few months. He was passing through. He was working on a project. He did not say what project. Ethan never gave specific details. He asked about me. I kept my answers short. I did not mention David. I did not mention Lily or Tom. I just talked about the gallery. I felt guilty. I felt like a teenager hiding something important from her parents. He handed me a piece of paper. "My number. Call me. We need to catch up properly. We have 20 years of catching up to do." He left as quickly as he arrived. The bell jingled again. He was gone. I stood there, holding the small slip of paper. My hand was shaking. Mark, my assistant, looked at me strangely. "Are you all right, Amelia? You look like you saw a ghost." I put the paper in my pocket. "Yes, Mark, just an old friend. A very old friend." That night I could not sleep. I lay next to David. David was sleeping soundly. He breathed slowly and evenly. His presence was comforting, dependable, but my mind was running fast. My mind was in New York 20 years ago in a dusty little apartment with no money and endless possibilities. I kept thinking about Ethan's eyes. They were still so intense. They still held that wildness. I looked at David. David's face was soft in the dark. He was safe. He was my anchor, but anchors keep you still. Ethan was the wind. The wind takes you places. I started questioning everything. Was I happy? Yes, I was happy. But was I alive? Ethan made me feel intensely alive. He made me feel every emotion at maximum volume. David made me feel steady. Was steady enough? Was contentment just a polite word for boring? These were terrible thoughts, unfair thoughts. David deserved better than this doubt. My children deserved a mother who was fully present. The next day, the slip of paper was burning a hole in my pocket. I took it out. I stared at the numbers. I knew I should throw it away. I knew I should forget he came back, but I could not. The curiosity was too strong. The memory was too loud. After 3 days of agonizing, I called him. I used my work phone. I kept the conversation casual. "Ethan, it's Amelia. I knew you would call," he said. His voice was smooth. We agreed to meet for coffee. Just coffee. Neutral ground. No history allowed. I told David I had a late meeting with a difficult client. The lie felt heavy in my mouth. David simply kissed me goodbye and told me to drive safely. His trust was like another weight on my conscience. We met at a small cafe near the river. Ethan was there first. He stood up when he saw me. He did not try to hug me. He was respectful. That surprised me. He had always been impulsive. We sat down. We talked about the old days. We talked about mutual friends. We talked about the art world. He was still painting, mostly landscapes now, he said. He showed me pictures on his phone. They were good. Full of light and shadow. "You are so settled, Amelia," he said, stirring his coffee. "The gallery. The life. You always wanted stability, didn't you?" "I wanted peace," I corrected him. "You taught me that passion is exhausting, Ethan." He looked hurt for a moment. Then he smiled sadly. "Maybe I did." I was a terrible teacher. Then he asked me about my husband. "Is he a good man?" I paused. "He is the best man I have ever known." "Does he make you feel like the world stops turning when he enters a room?" The question hit me hard. No, David does not make the world stop turning. David makes the world turn smoothly, predictably, like a well-oiled machine. Ethan made the world stop and then burst into flames. "He makes me feel safe," I answered honestly. We talked for 2 hours. He told me about traveling the world. He talked about painting in Italy, living in a small shack in South America. His life was still nomadic. It was still free. It sounded exciting. It sounded exhausting. When the coffee date ended, the air was thick with unspoken history. He reached across the table and touched my hand, just briefly. His touch was electric. It was the same feeling I remembered, that immediate, intense connection. "I missed you, Amelia," he murmured. I pulled my hand back. "I have to go, Ethan." I drove home in a daze. The feeling of his touch stayed on my skin. When I walked into the house, David was helping Lily with her homework. Tom was building a massive Lego tower. The scene was domestic. It was warm. It was real. I looked at David. He looked up and smiled, a tired but loving smile. He was wearing his reading glasses. He looked comfortable. He looked like home. Over the next week, the conflict grew. Ethan started texting me. Simple messages. "Thinking of you. Did you see that sunset?" I didn't always reply, but I saved the messages. I started looking at my life through Ethan's lens. My routine felt heavy. My contentment felt dull. I found myself remembering the bad times with Ethan too. The times he disappeared for days. The times he was jealous and angry. The time he threw my favorite vase against the wall during a fight. The passion was volatile. It was dangerous. I knew I needed to stop this. I knew I was playing with fire. I loved David. I loved my family. But Ethan represented a path not taken. He represented the wildness I had deliberately tamed inside myself. I needed to see him one last time to put the ghost back in the box. I needed closure, real closure this time. I texted him. One final meeting. Tomorrow, noon. The park near the big oak tree? He replied immediately. See you there, Amelia. The park was quiet. The sun was bright. Ethan was leaning against the oak tree, looking impatient and handsome. He wore a dark blue shirt. Thank you for meeting me, he said, walking towards me. I need to be clear, Ethan. I needed to see you, but this has to stop. I am married. I am happy. He nodded slowly. I know you are happy. You radiate success and stability, but are you fulfilled? You left me because I was too much fire. Did you choose David because he is too little fire? His question was sharp. It pierced the contentment I had built. David is my partner. He supports me. He sees me. I saw you too, Amelia. I saw the wild part. The part you hide now. The part that wants to drop everything and run towards the ocean. He stepped closer. Come with me, Amelia. For a week, a month, we can go to the coast. We can paint and talk and just be us again. Just like before. My breath caught in my throat. The temptation was enormous. The image of freedom, of the wind in my hair, of that passionate fire returning, was intoxicating. I could almost feel the salt air. Then I looked closely at his eyes. They were still dark and beautiful. But I saw something else there too. I saw the uncertainty. I saw the lack of a plan. I saw the man who would leave me again, inevitably, because he could not bear permanence. I remembered the night he left me, the cold bed, the terrible, crushing emptiness. That feeling was not worth the temporary high he offered. The girl who wanted to run away is gone, Ethan, I said. My voice was steady now. This was the voice of Amelia, the gallery owner, the wife, the mother, not the girl. I am not the same person. And you are not the same person. You are still looking for the next adventure. I found my adventure. It is here. It is my family. It is my responsibility. I learned that safety is not the opposite of passion. Safety is the foundation that allows real, long-term love to grow. Ethan looked genuinely sad. I see. You built a fortress. No, I corrected him. I built a home. You are a wonderful memory, Ethan. You are the man I can't forget because you taught me what I didn't want. You taught me that explosive passion is temporary. It is unsustainable. It is beautiful, like a shooting star, but a shooting star disappears quickly. David is the sun. He is constant. He is always there. I felt the tears start to well up. This was goodbye, truly goodbye, for the first time. I wish you well, Ethan, I said. I truly do. He nodded, defeated. He knew I meant it. He knew the door was finally closed. He knew I was choosing my life, not just choosing David, but choosing myself. Goodbye, Amelia, he said. He gave me a small, respectful bow. He turned and walked away. He did not look back. I stayed under the oak tree for a long time. I watched him disappear into the crowd. I felt a tremendous release. The weight lifted. The choice was made. The ghost was exorcised. I drove straight home. When I opened the door, the smell of dinner filled the air. David was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables. Lily and Tom were setting the table. "You're home early," David said, smiling. He wiped his hands on a towel and walked over to me. He did not ask about the difficult client. He just looked at me with love. He put his arms around me and kissed my forehead. His kiss was soft. It was familiar. It was everything. In that moment, standing in my warm, messy kitchen, I realized the truth. Ethan was the fire that taught me how to burn, but David was the steady light that showed me how to live. I hugged David tightly. I breathed in the scent of home and safety. I knew the man I can't forget will always exist in my past. He will always be a part of my story. He is the sharp, exciting chapter of my youth, but he is not my future. My future is right here. It is this moment. It is this stability. It is this quiet, deep, unconditional love. I am Amelia. I am 40 years old. I am happy. I am truly alive. I let go of the fantasy of fire. I embrace the reality of warmth. I walked into the dining room. I sat down with my family. I was finally home completely and utterly. I was not looking back anymore. I smiled at my children. I smiled at my husband. This peace was everything. It was more than enough. It was the greatest adventure of all. The story of Ethan was finished. The story of Amelia and David continued, strong and true. The memory was cherished, but the life was lived fully in the present. I felt grateful for the quiet contentment. I felt grateful for the predictability. It was not boring. It was beautiful. It was my choice. It was my life. I would protect this happiness always. I loved the security. I loved the routine. I loved the man I was with. I loved the life we built together. This certainty was priceless. This certainty was my true passion. It was my real sustainable fire. I reached across the table and held David's hand. I squeezed it gently. He looked at me, questioning. I just smiled. I was finally at peace. The man I can't forget was simply a lesson learned long ago. The man I chose was my life. I feel grateful for you watching so far. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the next videos.